right. Welcome everyone back to another live stream. Hopefully you all are doing great. The markets are doing a little bit better. We have a few things to discuss and we'll jump straight into them. Of course, we're not financial advisors here on this channel. Always make sure to do your own research before investing money into any cryptocurrencies. Welcome everyone back to another live stream. And let me quickly share this. All right. So the markets are recovering a little bit. Bitcoin is sitting at $91,000. Some altcoins are doing pretty good. The meme coins jumped up a few $1 billion in market cap for some reason. I'm not sure what that's all about, but the meme coins usually do weird things. But I do not recommend getting into meme coins. Of course, not financial advice, but this is something that I don't personally do. You can see Pepe is up 70%. Render is up 50%. Render is one of the AI coins that we keep talking about here on this channel. One of the safer mid-cap AI coins you can go for. Let's do a search based on the categories. So let's go into AI first. Some of the AI coins have been going up a little bit. But Tensor Tau, Near Protocol, still both solid picks in the AI category. I personally don't have ICP. I sold my Filecoin a long time ago. I think I still have some fetch, I think. And let's do it by the 7-day. All right, so Destra is up 55%. Pal AI is up 66%. And TARS is up 54%. Again, if you were picking up some of these coins during the dips, now you're up at least a little bit. AI XBT is up 31%. We were talking about all of these coins during our last live stream, and now they did have a bit of a bounce. Something else we mentioned on our Patreon, so I recommend all of you check out the Patreon that's linked down below in the description, is our, we mentioned this, it's not a, apologies for that. It's not a low cap coin yet. However, this is a, you could say a high cap altcoin at this point. It's past 5 billion, precisely $5.5 billion of market cap. But we mentioned this coin when it was sitting at around 9 cents at the end of December. And now we've officially broken, 15 cents. So we're sitting at 17 cents. That was our high on January 1st. And almost a 2x, which was pretty good. And if anyone decided to get into this coin on Patreon, congratulations. But if you are still planning to get into Canton, you still haven't, make sure to join our Patreon. There's a 7-day free trial. You can take a look at why I think Canton is a good pick for the next run, for the next alt season. So yeah, check out our Patreon and check out that video. Again, 7-day free trial. You join. If you don't like it, you can leave, and you can still watch all the videos that are available there. So Injective also something that dropped quite a bit, and this is definitely a good opportunity to pick up some Injective at these low levels. Let's also take a look at the RWA protocols. And let's filter them by 7 days. Pinlink is up 71%. Again, Pinlink, something that we constantly talk about. And we've mentioned Pinlink on the previous live stream as well. And the previous live stream was, if I'm not mistaken, it was 9 days ago. So if you followed us 9 days ago and you watched the live stream, you would have been able to get these 50 to 70% gains, which is pretty good. You know, it's not ideal, but it's still a lot. You know, in 7 days to get a 70%, that's quite a lot. So let's start going through some of these news because we do want to get through the meat and potatoes of this. The dollar has now lost 97% of its purchasing power since 1913. And this is why we need Bitcoin, and I agree. This is not the only reason why we need Bitcoin. However, beside Bitcoin, you can also get into silver, into gold, into other precious metals that would preserve your purchasing power. This is the way you can fight inflation and fight this system that is designed to pretty much enslave you, if you want to use simple terms. So $1 back in the 1930s is, probably could have bought you way more than $100 can buy you now, which is very, funny and sad at the same time. So this is what these politicians do with our economies, and it's not going to get any better. That's why you want to learn how to protect yourself from this inflation. Now we have an anti-Bitcoin SEC commissioner, Caroline Crenshaw, and she's officially leaving the SEC. I'm only bringing this up to highlight that there is definitely a shift within the SEC into a more pro-crypto stance and within the government itself. And that's a good thing. Now, whether it's for the right or the wrong reasons is another question. But the fact that they're turning pro-crypto is definitely 100% confirmed. So Polymarket is expecting Bitcoin to outperform gold in 2026. Now, gold has been performing extremely well as of recently. If we open up gold's chart here, you can see we're way past our 1.618. I mean, this is an insane run for gold. Insane run. And the same thing goes for silver. Silver has actually dropped a little bit. So silver has dropped 13%. If it keeps dropping a little bit lower, maybe look into buying some silver. I mean, on our Patreon in August, we mentioned silver. Was it in August? Actually, no, sorry, it was not in August. Actually, it was in August. It was around August. We mentioned silver. We're sitting around 30 to 35 per ounce. And now, we went up to 84, almost a 3x in just a few months. So some people are expecting gold to be outperformed by Bitcoin. And, you don't have to go with either or. I would recommend having both. You want to diversify, which is something that I'm looking forward to doing myself in the near future. So let me know what you think. Do you think gold will perform better than Bitcoin? To be honest, with the, just to be on the safe side, if you get both of them, with the upcoming inflation in 2026, with the trillions of dollars they're going to be printing, because the Fed has already started inserting money into the markets, I think this is just a question of time before both of these start performing very well. So I don't think it's that big of a question what is going to outperform what. I guess it's only important if you're a maxi on either side, someone like Peter Schiff, then it's going to be important, but not in this case. Now, this website back in 2010 was giving away 5 Bitcoins per visitor for free. And today that's worth $447,000, which is insane. Me, if I could go back to 2010. It was called Get Bitcoins from the Bitcoin Faucet. This guy's drinking out of the faucet here, and that's what all of us would be doing back in 2010 if we went back in time. Positive news coming from Central Asia. Turkmenistan officially legalizes Bitcoin and crypto mining, which is great. Electricity is much cheaper in Central Asia than it is in Europe and in the West, at least in most Central Asian countries. But that's a really positive thing coming out from Central Asia. Now, Thomas Jefferson, obviously the third president of the United States, he said, "I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, The banks and corporations that will grow up around these banks will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. So Jerome Powell probably hates this guy. And again, I'm not whitewashing Thomas Jefferson and the early fathers of the American nation. However, this is definitely a statement that can be acknowledged, and this is definitely a truthful statement. We see today how this is becoming a reality, and it already is a reality that we're living in. So Thomas Jefferson would have definitely loved Bitcoin. I mean, in hindsight, I guess we can say that, yes. But this is just something interesting to think about, is that the earlier presidents were talking about how private companies cannot control the economy, and now private companies essentially control the economy. All of the billionaires meeting up in Switzerland and deciding, what should happen and where and when is the opposite of what the forefathers wanted. So the global M2 is back at an all-time high, and historically Bitcoin price follows. So as you can see, this is the M2 global liquidity against the Bitcoin price. So the Bitcoin is the black average or the moving average, and the light blue is the M2. So the M2 is ahead of the Bitcoin's price chart, usually historically by a few weeks. Some people say 8 weeks, some people say 3 to 4 weeks, but Bitcoin is going to start following that trend, hopefully. And, before that happens, you still have some time to pick up some of the old coins that you were looking for. So make sure to have the money ready and set to go. Bank of Russia prepares a concept for regulating Bitcoin and crypto. Russia may allow unqualified investors to buy Bitcoin and crypto. So it is very weird how Russia is handling crypto. So back in 2021, before the invasion, they banned Bitcoin, and then suddenly after that, they unbanned it. And obviously a lot of people were theorizing whether this means they just wanted to dump the price and then buy a bunch of Bitcoin and then legislate it, which is pretty much what they did. Now, you're not allowed to send transfers from your personal banks between your friends. Like if you want to send $500, there has to be a reason behind that. If you're doing P2P through a bank, you might go to jail, or you might have a pretty massive penalty for that. So it's weird how they're trying to be pro crypto, but then they're limiting people in their use to such an extent where you can't even do P2P or even like basic bank transactions involving crypto. So yeah, it's definitely a weird dynamic. But this comment is pointing something out. Unqualified investors were allowed to buy Bitcoin since 2009. That's true. But now Russia is going to allow them to buy Bitcoin because you have to do it with the government's permission, of course. I mean, yeah. The three big countries spreading peace and love throughout the world. The United States, Russia, and, well, you can guess the third one. So 50% of all recorded Q1s have been green for Bitcoin. So half of all of the first quarters since the inception have been green for Bitcoin. 2024, we were up 68%. 2023, we were up 71%. And then in 2025, we were down 11%. In 2022, we were down a bit. 2020, we were down a bit. And then in 2018, we were down 50%. So we've never really had 2 years when we were down in a row. And I think we're looking at a really good Q1 here. Even without a Fed cut, because it looks like we're not getting a Fed cut in January, because Jerome Powell wants to go butt heads with Trump. even without the cut, I think we're still going to be sitting in the green for Q1. And same thing goes for Ethereum here. So Ethereum has had a red Q4. The following Q1 has been green. So far, historically, this is accurate. So this is the Q4 of 2025. We're down 28%. Q1 of 2026 is supposedly going to be green. 2022 Q4 was down 10%, and 2023 we were up 52%. Then 2019 we were down 28.9%, almost 30%. In 2020 in Q1 we were up 3%, and so on and so forth. So we'll see if Ethereum manages to stick to this formula. However, Ethereum has been, disappointing to a lot of people. I personally do not own any Ethereum at the moment. However, everyone was waiting for Ethereum to do well because that was supposed to be our instigator for the old season. That was supposed to be our leader for the old season, but we didn't really see that in this cycle. We did retest the previous all-time high at 4,000, and that was, or rather 5,000, and that was about it. August, over here, August 2025. That was about it. Then we started dropping. And we're hovering around the 20 EMA on the monthly chart. So hopefully we are going to hold it. That's going to be pretty crucial for us to do that. And if we take a look at the weekly chart here, you can see that every time we go below the 20 EMA, that's a good buying opportunity for Ethereum. Back in summer, autumn 2024, back in the first and the second quarters of 2025, we were sitting in these areas below the 20 EMA, and they were historically very good times to be accumulating Ethereum. But still, this is looking bullish because we are printing higher highs and higher lows, at least if we're looking at this fractal here. From the bottom in August, June 2022. So again, we'll have to see what happens, but the way the markets work is that if there's easier access to money, then the markets are going to start going up. With the rates going down, with inflation, the inflation obviously is going to cause the risk on and risk off assets to go up against the US dollar. And with the rate cuts, money is going to become more accessible to everyone. And of course, you have to keep in mind that this administration does not want a strong US dollar. It wants a weak US dollar because they want their GDP to go up. They want economic stability throughout the world globally, because obviously they want to say that we brought the economy or the world economy back into a stable state. And they cannot do that with a strong US dollar because everyone else is going to be suffering. So in order to maintain trade and in order for the GDP to grow the way they want to grow, Trump has openly said this, that they do not want a strong dollar. They actually want to weaken the dollar, and this does help out China and other big nations as well. Okay, so we covered a bunch of news here. Let's go through some altcoins. We were getting a request for Moon River. Let's take a look at that. And actually, let's switch over to the daily chart. So Moon River has crashed through our support levels, which is not a good sign. So we lost our October 2023 bottom. So that's not a good sign. Let's see what we can gather from the fib here. So we're holding the 1.414. There's still a chance for us to go lower to the 1.618. which is going to be our technical target at $1.60. So if it drops down as low as that, that's going to be a really good buying opportunity. If you want to ride it with a massive relief rally, then you might want to buy Moon River at these lows. So the RSI is jumping back up a little bit. But this has been an extensive correction here of around 74% since this peak here in August 2025. Let's go to the weekly. The weekly is almost in the oversold. Again, this is historically, this is when you want to be getting into projects, even for short to mid-term trades. This is where you want to be buying. And no one is telling you have to hold this for 2+ years or anything like that. Polkadot, Cosmos, Atom, I sold those last year, or I guess this would be end of 2024 now, not last year, because we're in 2026. So I sold Cosmos and Polkadot, and we got out at those local peaks over here in December 2024, and we essentially got out of the projects because I did not think that they were going to be doing that well, and you know, in hindsight, that was a really good decision. IMX is losing its support. Near Protocol, something that I would still recommend looking into. So it's coming back down to its support. If you want to look at this area here, October 2023, at around $1. It's coming back down to that range. It hovered for a long time in this block, in this range between $2.92 to $2.26. But right now, as you can see, the weekly RSI is relatively low, and this is when you want to be accumulating. Again, when it's down, you want to be buying. You do not want to buy all in. You do not want to buy everything at once and put your entire life savings into Near Protocol, but you can dollar cost average. You can just buy bits and pieces here and there. And when there's a massive crash, you can put a little bit more in at a time. Solana has crashed actually pretty significantly from the top here. It's down 68%, and this is a good time to be accumulating. And you have to understand, this doesn't mean that if you're going to buy here, it's not going to drop back down ever. It's possible that you buy here, it does something like this, and then continues crashing down. So you want to be ready to buy this entire dip. That's why you want a dollar cost average. So the lower you go, the more you buy. That way your average is going to be somewhere below your first initial buy, okay? But if you put your entire life savings at this one area here at $134, and then it drops another 50% from there, you're going to be in a tough spot. And make sure, of course, to be careful not investing with, be careful with not investing money that you need for your daily life, for your All right, and let's see if we can take a look at anything else. Chainlink, another really good altcoin here. And it hasn't really crashed that much. Let me try to remove that fib there. So from the top in December 2024, we were sitting at $30. Now we dropped 55%. Not a bad time to start looking into Chainlink as well. I mean, look at the RSI. Sitting pretty low. So Chainlink is a beast. Chainlink is involved with everyone. So this is a project that I'd always recommend checking out. And during the bear market, we were buying this heavy. Like, we had a lot of Chainlink here, and we sold it whenever it pumped. Okay, let's take a look at the total crypto market cap here. Sitting at $3 trillion. We're sitting below the 20 EMA on the weekly. Again, very similar to what we went through back in the first half of 2025. We had this accumulation, we had this correction of approximately 40%, and then from there we went up 82%. Then again, we had a correction here of approximately 35%. And from here, we can continue going up. If we do another 82%, we're going to get to $5 trillion of the total market cap. So make sure you're carefully picking which tokens you want to accumulate during this correction. And whenever there's another crash, always make sure you have some USDT, USDC, whatever it is, ready on your cold wallet, on your exchange, so you can start buying the dip immediately, because during corrections, a lot of the times exchanges will make it impossible for you to deposit money, whether on purpose or not. So be careful, just keep that in mind. Let's quickly take a look at the probabilities for a rate cut in January. We're looking at an 82.8% chance that there will not be a rate cut in January on the 28th when we have our next FOMC meeting, and only 17.2% expecting a rate cut. So most likely we're not going to be seeing a rate cut. Again, Jerome Powell is leaving in May. We're going to have a new Federal Reserve chairman who is going to be pro-crypto and who is going to be pro-cutting rates. And pro-cutting rates aggressively possibly is going to be Hazeeq, who is, leading towards cutting rates very quickly, and that will cause obviously lots of access to free money or easier money, and that will obviously cause a lot of people to start buying these cryptos, stocks, all of the risk on and risk off assets. And this is the same formula that has been in this system for decades now, and is just when you cut rates, when the rates were sitting at zero during COVID, the prices were skyrocketing because there was easy access to money. Okay? And we're going into that same scenario right now. The rates are going to be going down lower. The Federal Reserve has started injecting money into the markets. They're doing $40 billion a month, I believe. And, this is going to be printing. Even though Donald Trump said they were going to take care of inflation, they're going to stop printing money. They're printing money now. Inflation has been on the rise recently. So, it's the same old story. It's the same old story. It never changes. And you just have to learn how to adapt to it and how to capitalize on this system. So that's been it for this little quick live stream. Leave a like. Make sure to share around the content if you think it's going to be helpful to some of your friends, some of your family members. And let me know if you have any specific altcoins you want me to take a look at. Stay safe, everyone, and take care.